So the Killing Floor 3 playtest or beta, whatever the heck you want to call it, just finished about an hour ago. I've had some time to just sit down and get my overall thoughts on this thing, and man, I'm just fairly mixed. As a Killing Floor player, more so on Killing Floor 2. I haven't really played a lot of Killing Floor 1, but Killing Floor 2 especially. This game hurts my soul, my brain, my body, my hands. I don't even know how to explain what I just played with almost 5 hours of gameplay from this playtest. And I like to give my thoughts on it. So we'll start with the positives. I'm going to go positives and negatives, keep this brief and simple to get an idea of what people are going to be expecting or what to expect with Killing Floor 3. So we'll start with the positives. The skill tree system, or the new skill tree system as I like to call it, is awesome. I actually like that they went from the pick one of two perks every 5 levels to this whole system where you pick 2 or 3 perks, and as you level up you'll gain essentially just more perks, more choice, more options, more things to do, better ways to like give your character or your class a play style. So for the entire playtest, I was originally going to play Commander and Engineer, but given how limited time we had, and since I'm in Australia, the test went up pretty late. So I played a bit late at night, got some sleep, woke up, and only played like another hour and a half to get some extra footage. So I managed to play almost 5 hours, and I purely just played the Commander. And I had a blast in terms of the Commander and the perks that he's got. There's a lot of potential in that. So I really enjoyed that. The proficiency system is something that's really interesting too that they added, but it's not, we can't really say anything on the proficiency system yet because that involves playtime. It's basically just like general stat boosts. So we'll have to put more time into it to see how that turns out. But I think that's also pretty decent too. The gunplay, I think they improved on it a bit. I was watching some Killing Floor 3 closed beta footage from about like 4 months ago, and comparing it to now, I actually think the gunplay feels a lot better. In the patch notes, they implemented this new weapon recoil system to where guns actually pack a punch now. So you can notice it on all the assault rifles that I use, particularly the LMG or the special weapon that you get. This thing has horizontal recoil like it's no tomorrow. And I have no doubt that I think from the closed beta, if it was there, it probably wouldn't have felt like how it feels now. So I think in terms of the weapon feel that they said they were going to fix, they sort of fixed it here. I like it. Guns felt good. I had that Killing Floor 2 oomph to it. Like, especially when you're hip firing, which in KF2 you're usually hip firing a lot in that game. But in Killing Floor 3, you can sort of do the same thing and it feels one to one. So I really like that. The movement system, while I do think it's fairly mixed, and I think a lot of Killing Floor players will probably see this as a bad thing, I kind of like the movement system. Mostly because of my bias with fast-paced shooters. I always love fast-paced shooters, so anything that tries to go this sort of direction, I can kind of get around with, as long as it doesn't stray too far away, or it feels nice. And for the most part, it felt nice. Like, they added like a dash system, which I think is really cool, especially against husks or flesh pounds and scrakes with the hooks and all that. I think it can come in handy for a lot of scenarios. It just takes a matter of getting used to. That's pretty much all I have to say in terms of positives, because this game is an absolute shit show after that. First thing I want to mention, the weaponsmith system. So, for some reason, Tripwire decided to go, oh, Bob, let's try and be like Call of Duty and add our own weaponsmith system where we can give our guns attachments that make them cost more and give huge bonuses. That's what they did. They added a weaponsmith system. I'm mind boggled because this game does not need a weaponsmith system. It's such an unnecessary feature. And it actually does increase the builds that you make. I'm not even kidding. Like, this drum mag costs like 300 or 600 extra dosh. So, and on top of that, even when you do make the build, you have to actually get the money to pay for that build. You can't just get the build immediately. And I understand that from a design perspective. You don't want to just give people these decked out guns off rip. I get that. But the idea of the weapons system even being in a wave or horde shooter like Killing Floor, it makes no sense. Like, for example, with Killing Floor 2, Killing Floor 2's guns were centered into three different tiers: tier 1, 2, and 3. And each time that you purchase a higher tier, you'd gain massive stat boosts. And this doesn't involve any sort of attachments, it just inherently comes with either like an increased magazine size, like the AK, or something, or the Stoner, or something really powerful like the Scar, for example, right? But my main problem with the weapon switch system stands from the fact that you can turn these like lower tier guns into absolute powerhouses, even if it does end up costing more attachments. Like, straight up, I just don't see people decking out their guns with 6 attachments and expecting to buy them on Hell on Earth because of the reduced dosh cost. So there's just no chance in hell that's happening. But in terms of just making those lower guns powerful, it's like you don't need to buy these other guns if you don't want to. And that's another thing I want to point out is that these guns, the only difference that I saw, even though they do have different ballistic damage values, is just ammo capacity and rate of fire. Like the Scar is the most noticeable out of the 4 commando guns available because of having 110 ballistic damage, which is fairly huge compared to the 70 on the base gun, 80 on the AUG, and also, or 70 on the AUG, sorry, and 80 on the LMG. It just feels like they're not, there's not much oomph to the guns, Like I don't feel, it doesn't feel like it's noticeable in firepower as opposed to like going from a bullpup or a varmint rifle to an AK-12. Like it's night and day. The moment you get that AK-12, you're a monster. You deal a good amount of damage. You have a lot of ammo to work with, and it's just a solid weapon that you can carry all the way to the final wave or to the boss wave. In this, it just feels like the commando guns suck ass. Like, if I just buy the Scar and I had that by itself and didn't really bother to buy a second weapon, I think I'd be good. Another thing that I noticed now that we're on this topic is that they've removed the weight system from this game. It's just gone. What happened? Do we not want players to care about how much weight they can carry so they can't buy like these stronger guns? They just often removed it. I think one of the best things about the weight system is that you had to like sort of think about what guns you want to buy and what you want to carry and what you want to sacrifice in order to make space for guns. Like for example, a decent build or a solid support build would be the double-barreled shotgun and the AA-12, and maybe you'd want like a third shotgun, like an M10-14, but you can't have that shotgun alongside the AA-12 because the AA-12 carry weight is 10 kilos, so you have to make sacrifices. I think it's 10 or 12, something like that, but you have to make sacrifices in order to be able to have the DB and have the AA-12. You just don't have any of that limiting choice, I would say, that you do in Killing Floor 3. It's pretty silly. The characters being limited to classes, I remember this being one of the main criticisms from all the closed beta videos I watched 4 months ago, and they haven't really changed that. It's still the same. I even went into the cosmetics menu to see if you can change the characters, but you physically cannot change the characters. All they did was just remove their names. Could this be a placeholder for being able to change the characters at launch? Could this be the same 3-week beta build as they claimed from the first closed beta build, just with a coat of paint or some changes? I don't know, but it seems like that's going to be staying the same, and if it does, yeah, not a good sign. The multi-tool, this one gadget is crutch and silly for a few reasons. It can open up a ton of the maps, such as turrets, traps, and doors, and anyone can buy them, because usually it only spawns with the engineer by default, even though you can swap it, and gadgets can be swapped out by any class, so you're not limited to having that one gadget, much like you would in Killing Floor 2. Instead, you're actually like, you can switch between these gadgets. I find that silly in itself, but back to my main point. The multi-tool opens up a lot of stuff around the map, and I feel like if you have like 2 or 3 people with multi-tools, you're pretty much going to be set for life. Like this tool, when I played a few solo games to finish up the footage that I was recording, when I swapped from the ammo box to the multi-tool, it was night and day. The multi-tool just made everything a lot easier. I could give myself zip lines to travel back and forth. I could turn on turrets to help clear out Zeds in a quicker fashion. And it just made the game less stressful. And I feel like without this item, it makes everything a lot harder and more stressful. I just feel like in terms of convenience, it's very easy to get. It's cheap as well. It only costs like 80 dosh for one of these uses. And I have a feeling that even though there are limited amount of uses in the shop, which is for balance purposes, I totally get that. I do see this item getting some sort of potential nerf in the future. Maybe reduce amount of uses that you can have at one time from like 3 to 2, or making them worth more dosh. I'm not really sure, but I'm very negative about this tool in particular. Zeds are all the same in terms of design except the sirens. Like, I mean, they didn't really have to do much in terms of the designs. They just make them look cooler. The siren in particular looks really sick. I really like how their head like sticks out, and they have like these cool attacks as well. Like this one attack that they have where they do like this massive aura AoE blast, and it actually shields them as well. So you can't shoot through. You have to wait till it expires. I thought that was really cool. The one enemy that I don't like that got changed, however, are the husks. These husks, they decided to give them fucking jump packs so they can jump up to the rooftops and shoot rockets from above like they're doing some sort of artillery strike. I just think this is silly. Like, sure, the husks move faster and they can keep that. I think Tripwire should keep them moving fast. It's just when we compare it to previous games, husks could never jump. The idea of husks is to just be annoying with those bloody flamethrowers or the flame rockets that they have. And the idea is just to dodge left or right. I guess they sort of added this jumpy system to offset the fact that the players have a dash now. But get rid of this shit, please. This is just stupid. In terms of how the game actually looks, since this is one of the main changes that they said that they were going to change from the closed beta to now, it hasn't really changed in terms of its looks, aside from just all the maps appearing darker. Because in the previous build, there were actually daytime maps. Whether or not there'll be cycles, whether, we get nighttime maps or other times we'll get daytime maps, I'm not exactly sure. I'm okay with the sci-fi setting, but something just seems off, as if it's sort of bland or doesn't mix with what Killing Floor is. I get that it's supposed to be futuristic, but it just doesn't make sense to me. Oh, and the iconic items? Forget it. Gone. Syringes? I mean, they still exist, but they're now limited and they're a consumable. So you have to use them selfishly as opposed to being able to stim your teammates when they're in need of aid. The welder? Also gone from the game. Doesn't exist. The only thing that I guess is sort of the welder is the multi-tool, but that opens doors, not barricades them. You can't even reinforce or lock yourself up into place, which in my mind is one of the staples of Killing Floor, which is holding your ground in a spot without any of the goofball stuff you see here. I get that it's for the sake of keeping it fast paced, but man, this hurt a bit. The guns look pretty crap. Nothing crazy or iconic about them, and they all sound the freaking same. Majority of the guns in Killing Floor 2 always felt and sounded different to the point where lots of playtime can have you memorizing each gun just from the sound alone. I could tell who's using what in this game, and even though I had limited playtime, I could see it playing out the same way going to the game's launch. Even the inspect animations are atrocious. Give me back my 9mm spinning, damn it! Tripwire decided to add crosshair and hit markers, and I wasn't sure whether or not to put this as a positive or a negative, because I'm sort of welcoming of this change, especially for new players. But I can also see it being a bad thing since the previous two games never had this. It gave the games a bit of a skill ceiling and allowed you to see more of the action, if you will. Game is 50-50 right now in terms of performance. Personally, I didn't have too many problems getting the game going, but occasionally suffered from good old UE5 stutter in some scenarios, mostly in co-op. Please fix this Tripwire or else it's going to piss a lot more people off. I say a lot more because this game is in UE5. Yeah. And lastly, the executions. Now, you can put Scrakes and Flesh Pounds into this vulnerable state and you can go up to them and execute them. And outside of just, I guess, killing all the enemies that are around it because they like explode when you do it, I just don't see any reason to add this. Like, are we trying to be Doom or something? In conclusion, Killing Floor 3 is a former shell of itself. It makes unnecessary changes that no one asked for, didn't really change much from the closed beta aside from the gunplay and maybe the lighting, and it feels like they're really trying to push this direction for the franchise. If it had an entirely different name, I, alongside many others, would be inclined to fuck with it. But because of it being given this name, it loses all hope. To me, it's just another generic zombie shooter game slapped with some modern shenanigans, and I'm fairly mixed. Fundamental wants to be dog shit when you see all the issues and changes they've made to really not make it feel or look like a Killing Floor game. I still have a little bit of hope, but not much. Given what I said about Payday 3 during that game's beta before launch and it flopping, I see the same process happening with this game unless they make changes quick and not spend 3 to 6 months twiddling with their thumbs like Starbreeze did. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Man, this was just such a disappointing playtest. I actually thought this game was going to be fire, but yeah, this ain't it, Chief. If I missed anything, comment down below. I'll have more coming to you soon. Peace.